Wuthering Waves is a better game than Genshin Impact. What a nice title, chat. Let's see.
Wuthering Waves is a better game than Genshin Impact. Yup.
True, he's not wrong. In many aspects, WoW is already better. There is some aspects that Genshin is still better. Maybe world building and maybe story a little bit, because there's like 4 years they have like in advance. They're still ahead, but WoW is catching up in like lightning speed, okay? They already have better gameplay. They already have better developers. Let's see where this is going, man.
I said what I said. And in this video, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I think that is. Now, before anybody comes for me, which I realize is going to happen anyway, I want you to know that I have played both games extensively, and I've spent over 3 times as much money in Genshin Impact than I have in...
Yeah, same by the way. I spent 6,000. Over 6,000 in Genshin. And maybe WoW right now I spent 500, maybe?
Wuthering Waves. I have my Raiden Shogun at C2, and I don't care how bad the meta is for freeze teams, Kamisato Ayaka will always have a special place in my heart. But today, I want to tell you about all the things that I can come up with where Genshin Impact just quite honestly falls short when compared with Wuthering Waves. And if your first response back to me is something about the Sensory Tower revenue reports, just go ahead and stop, because I don't take into account how much money a gacha game has bamboozled players into spending in what for all of them are very predatory pricing models. I'm not taking into account any of that as far as the quality of any individual game. But hey, first,
this is something that is so dumb in the gacha space right now, that we compare revenue on how good a game is. How much money a game makes doesn't mean that it's better. It's just this game is better at scamming you. That's pretty much it. Yeah, Wuthering Waves is just so freaking free-to-play friendly, and people really love the game. It's so dumb. How this gacha revenue PvP thing is just such a meme. Honestly, I think these people that actually say blah 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 makes more money than WoW EOS soon are the ones that just want WoW to fail so hard because they cannot accept the fact that WoW is so good. WoW is such a fantastic game that these people want it to fail. They want it so bad because they know their favorite Genshin Hoyo game is worse. They see the devs popping off so hard, giving 5-star characters, free weapons, hundreds of pulls, and their Hoyo game gets 5 pulls, 90 Primogems. They don't get anything. They get a standard character for the 4 years anniversary. I mean, I get it, man. You can hate on WoW as much as you want, but it's a fantastic game.
If you're new here on my channel, what's up? I'm Solus, and I make videos about gacha games. Guides, news, just whatever I feel like making. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, now let's get into today's video. The first thing on my list is going to be how generous the developers are for Wuthering Waves and how that impacts the new player experience. The new player experience is going to be significantly better than it is for Genshin Impact for one simple reason. And that reason is Wuthering Waves gives you 3 free 5-star characters from the standard banner, as well as something like 30 pulls, 30 free pulls for the limited banner, if I remember right. Now, Genshin Impact just recently...
You can get free 5 stars in just 1 or 2 days. I think even 1 day. The new player experience is crazy. Nothing comes close to that. There's so many gacha games who don't have that much that they give you for gacha pulls. You get a selector, you get a banner where you can select. You have the beginner banner that is like 50 pulls or something, right? This is free 5 stars. It's crazy. And you get a lot of pulls too.
Did a thing where you can also get a 5-star character and a weapon of your choice from the standard banner, but it's only a single character, and it took them over 4 years to add this to the game.
And it's a standard character, which all of them are pretty much ass in compared to the new limited ones. They should have given a new limited character from Netland. There's no excuse for that.
They never give out free 10 pulls. The main part of having fun in any gacha game is being able to play with characters that you like, and Wuthering Waves allows you to do that from the very beginning of the game. Kuro Games has honestly been so generous with what they've given us in Wuthering Waves that it's actually had like some kind of reverse psychology effect on me where I've actually ended up spending more money in the game than I would have otherwise.
The thing is that Genshin just was, for a lot of people, the first gacha game and they didn't know how bad it can be money-wise, how much money you could actually invest into getting baited of getting this new character, getting baited for this good weapon that will improve your character so much. But also, Genshin doesn't give you enough primogems. They are like freaking so greedy with the amount they give to the players and free pulls that people have to spend to get the characters, which is the huge difference to Wuthering Waves, because they give you so much stuff that you don't need to spend money. That's why also the revenue was so low the last 2 months. They gave you a freaking insane 5-star character for free, Jiang Liao. There was no urge to spend money. We're gonna see a definite increase in revenue in like when people have spent all their free pulls.
Which is the character and weapon banners. Now, Genshin Impact just recently introduced a change, coincidentally not long after Wuthering Waves came out, that made their character and weapon banners a little bit better. But the crazy thing is that even with the new changes, the banners still absolutely suck when compared with the Wuthering Waves banners.
True.
In Wuthering Waves, the hard pity for a 5-star character is 80 pulls. And for me, usually I get a 5-star character sometime before 80 pulls, like usually in the soft pity, which I think is around 69. Nice, even number.
Yeah, that's also a great point. You don't get any, pretty much these materials the game also gives you with events is so freaking rare. You cannot get enough materials from the events. You've seen it in Wuva, how much materials they also give you. It's not even only the pulls or the asteroids or the free weapons, whatever. It is also how they give you so much materials to help you level the characters. It's just insane. It's so different to Genshin.
But the biggest thing personally for me is that the limited weapon banners are guaranteed. They are guaranteed at 80 pity. So that means no 50-50, no other unwanted weapons. You are getting the weapon that you want at or before 80 pulls every single time.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Look, I know full well that...
I'm also pretty sure that Genshin makes the most money on the weapon banner. Probably not, but they probably make a ton of money from the weapon banner because it was such a scam for a long time. Now it's not as bad anymore. You only have to lose 50-50 once and then you get it guaranteed. But it was so bad. Losing 50-50 2 times? Jesus, that's like $400 to get one weapon. It's insane.
Gacha games in general are just a major ripoff, but these are the best and most generous banners that you're going to find in any gacha game that's out right now. And by definition, this also makes Wuthering Waves more free-to-play friendly. It's just an L for Genshin all the way around. Now,
Genshin is not free-to-play friendly at all, compared to Wuva. You can still be F2P in Genshin, but it will feel worse than Wuva. That's a fact.
Have to break up this next part into several subcategories, but let's go through and see how Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact compare in terms of content and gameplay. So first thing I want to talk about is combat. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Genshin's combat very much. Genshin's elemental reaction system is super cool and it is really fun, but that is kind of all you get. The game is easy, and once you learn the elemental reactions, that's it. Enemies and bosses and mobs are just sponges for damage numbers, and you can just mindlessly grind it away. In Wuthering Waves, you have dodges, counterattacks, intro and outro skills, and a stagger bar for enemies.
Yep, that's so much more exciting. It's just so fun. These 4 stuff that you see on the screen, this is such a game changer, making the gameplay it's just fun. It's fun. It feels like you're actually playing the game. In Genshin, you're just pressing E and Q and you look at the HP bar. You look how the enemy is dying. And in Wuva, you actually have to engage with the enemy. You have to watch the enemy, what they are doing, dodge. You have to do your intro, outro. And in Genshin, it's just so freaking boring in comparison, right? It's not like you cannot enjoy Genshin, but it just gets old very fast. And in Wuva, you get a new boss. It feels like it's a new game, right? You get a new freaking experience to freaking learn and master.
All of those elements in Wuthering Waves make the combat feel way more dynamic in every single fight. You sometimes actually have to think, and I know that can be a scary word, but trust me, it's worth it. So while I do acknowledge that it is possible for somebody to enjoy Genshin Impact's combat more, if anyone is to try and say that Genshin Impact's combat is just objectively better, that is just false. You can say that it is easier or that you enjoy it more, but that's about it. Okay, now let's move on to world exploration.
If you actually think Genshin's combat is better, man, there's something wrong. Maybe you can enjoy it more because you are just a pleb that enjoys casual video games, but it's definitely less enjoyable, in my opinion. The action aspect is just 100% better. Since it's an action game, you want action, right? WoW is just action, man. It's action.
This is an area where Wuthering Waves absolutely blows Genshin Impact out of the water. You know the stupid and annoying stamina bar that you have in Genshin Impact that runs out after like 10 feet of sprinting? In Wuthering Waves, you can sprint to your heart's content with no stamina bar. You can also run up walls, double jump, and there's a grapple.
Insane.
Also, in the Wuthering Waves live stream for version 1.3, we just learned that they're adding even more quality of life and ways for world traversal when Black Shores releases. I literally feel so cringe now every single time that I'm playing Genshin and I run out of stamina while climbing a wall at the same pace that Joe Biden unsuccessfully climbs up a flight of stairs.
True.
And also in the same vein as world exploration is mining. Now, this is one of those...
Also, the craziest thing right now in Netland is each feature that Wuthering Waves has by standard, they're gonna implement these in one character. So grappling hook is one character that you need to spend money for. Wall running is one character that you need to spend money for. Water, what is it called? I don't know, faster movement, whatever. Mualani, you need to spend money for. It's crazy how they make characters for features that Wuthering Waves just already has for free.
Really small things, but in my opinion, all of these small things do start to add up. But in Genshin Impact, when you're mining with any character that doesn't have a claymore, it feels like you are chiseling away at Mount Everest with a toothpick.
Yeah, that's
but
also
in
so
Wuthering
stupid.
Waves, pretty much any character can break rocks with relative ease. Chun-Li, for example, can break rocks with one hit, and most of the other characters, with the exception of Rectifier users, can break them pretty quickly as well. Okay, my list is endgame content.
That's so many
If you've ever hit
lightning
the
effects.
endgame in Genshin, you probably know that the endgame just consists of basically you just keep leveling your characters, grind artifacts, do your Spiral Abyss, and then you log back in for real when there's an actual story update.
But there's also the imaginary theater now, okay? Don't forget about that. It's actually better than, I think it's better than the Spiral Abyss, yeah. They actually improved this mode. I want to give it to them. This mode is actually better than it was. It's still not what I wanted, but it at least is something. It's not the game mode I always wished for, but at least there's more to play now. One thing I just hate about the imaginary theater is that you need so many characters build.
Now, I know they added that new mode recently.
It's the worst game mode ever made. I don't know, I do enjoy it, but the issue is just with the characters thing. Just let me pick the characters that I want, and not like specific freaking elements.
Again, coincidentally, not long after Wuthering Waves came out, but it's only one more mode and it's not that great. Now, in Wuthering Waves, you have the Tower of Adversity, the Elusive Realm, and Hologram bosses. The Tower of Adversity could admittedly use some changes, but that's basically your Spiral Abyss equivalent. The Elusive Realm is a roguelike mode, and honestly, in my opinion, it is absolutely incredible. And they
Elusive Realm is the best endgame mode I've ever experienced in any gacha game. Period. It's one of the best game modes that I've ever played in general. It's so freaking innovative. It's so fun. Every character feels like it's a new character. And it's just fun. It's a fun game mode. I have fun every time I play it. It's crazy.
add updates to it with every new iteration that just continuously keep making it better. The hologram bosses, though, I think are the best part of the game. For anyone who wants it, they essentially just provide a tough challenge, which is something that just quite literally doesn't exist in Genshin. And part of the fun for the hologram bosses is actually just re-clearing them with different teams and different characters, just to see what you can do. And considering that Wuthering Waves just came out a few months ago, I would anticipate that there's going to be even more in-game content coming in the future. Now, I can go...
Honestly, for a 5 months old game, this game has so much to offer already. It's crazy. Compare this to Genshin when it was 4 or 5 months old. It was nothing. There was nothing.
Either way on this, but sometimes I don't want to read the story, and sometimes I just want to get back into the action. Well, guess what Wuthering Waves has that Genshin Impact does not? If you guessed a story skip button, you would be correct. Genshin players, myself included, have been asking for this for years.
Oh
but
my
in Wuthering
God.
Waves, if you're not in the mood to read, you don't have to. Simple
Imagine.
as that. And in version 1.3 of Wuthering Waves, they are adding a new feature where when you do skip the dialogue, it's still going to give you a summary of what it is that you skipped so that you know what you missed. Huge W from Kuro Games. Okay, so next, let's talk about the Echo system in Wuthering Waves versus the Artifact system in Genshin Impact. There's really not a whole lot to say with this comparison.
Ecosystem is just better. 100%. The artifact system is so bad.
Literally just everything about the ecosystem in Wuthering Waves is better than the artifact system in Genshin Impact. In Genshin, it is an endless grind, and at the end of that endless grind, you probably still won't have an artifact with the correct main stat that you want. Now, they did just add a new mechanic where you can get an artifact with the main stat that you want, but it takes months to do it for just one artifact, and then your substats are probably still going to roll like shit.
True.
Wuthering Waves, on the other hand, incorporates open world exploration into its ecosystem, and there are game mechanics to where you can pretty regularly get these items called malleable echoes, which allow you to choose an echo with the main stat of your choice. And the fact that you can use your echoes in combat adds an entire extra layer of complexity. Like I said, there's really not a whole lot to compare here when talking about which system is better. And now let's just talk about the devs. One thing that really stands out about Wuthering Waves is
they need an award. They deserve one. Dev of the Year.
how quickly Kuro Games responds to feedback. And they're kind of doing that out of necessity if you think about it, right? Because they know, and every other game developer knows, that they will not be able to get away with what Genshin Impact has done over the last 4 years. Genshin is a special case, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but moving forward, the open world gacha space is expanding, and in order to compete for your game time and your money, the devs have to do better than the Genshin devs. Which admittedly is not hard to do at all. Alright, so if you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, please like the video and...
Good video. Very valid points. Very, very good. Subscribe to this guy. He only has 800 subscribers. Great video. Got some great points. Definitely agree with everything he said. Everything. 300 dislikes by some angry Genshin players that cannot accept that there's now a better game. Yep. That's it.